Welcome to my Bard story.
Hello, everyone. We're embarking on a really fascinating deep dive today.
We're looking into a passage that honestly might get skipped over sometimes, Genesis 21, verses 22 through 34.
That's right. It records this really pivotal treaty between Abraham and King Abimelech.
And it seems like just ancient diplomacy on the surface, but there's so much more packed in there.
Oh, absolutely. We get profound insights into, well, legal practices of the time. Obviously, Abraham's faith journey deepens significantly.
And this is what really struck me, how God's eternal character is revealed even in these very earthly, practical negotiations.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really unpack these verses, dig into the historical and theological nuances, which are quite rich.
And hopefully discover how this ancient story speaks directly to, well, to you listening, to our lives and ministries today. It offers guidance, I think, and some really profound spiritual lessons.
Yes. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's turn to the text itself. We're starting with Genesis 21, verse 22, from the New Living Translation, NLT. About that time, Abimelech came with Phicol, his army commander, to visit Abraham. God is obviously with you, helping you in everything you do, Abimelech said.
Okay, so right off the bat, this opening verse sets a really intriguing tone, doesn't it?
It really does. What stands out immediately?
Well, it's who initiates this meeting. It's Abimelech, right? He's the established king of Gerar. He holds the power in the region.
And Abraham. He's still essentially a sojourner, a foreigner, albeit a prosperous one.
Precisely. And this is, as Kenneth Matthews points out, a dramatic reversal from their last encounter back in Genesis 20.
Right, where Abraham was, frankly, deceptive out of fear and really needed Abimelech's favor just to get out of that situation.
Exactly. But now the tables have turned. It's the king acknowledging Abraham's, well, undeniable success. And more than that, he attributes it directly to God's presence.
God is obviously with you. That's quite a statement from a pagan king.
It's huge. It's an unsolicited public testimony from a powerful outsider. It's not just, a polite social call. There's clearly something strategic going on here, born out of careful observation.
Yeah, that's a crucial observation. Because Abimelech isn't just noticing, say, Abraham's bigger flocks or more servants.
No, it's deeper than that. He seems to be perceiving something more profound, right? A kind of supernatural force at work, an undeniable divine favor that makes Abraham stand out.
Gordon Wenham emphasizes this too, doesn't he? That this public acknowledgement from an outsider, a king no less, acts as this powerful validation of God's promises to Abraham.
It absolutely does. Think about it. When a ruler with significant power says God is with you in all that you do, what does that really imply?
It implies that Abraham's influence isn't just human effort. It's something more. A power that needs to be reckoned with.
Right. It's an admission that Abraham's prosperity, his growing influence, his very ability to thrive as a foreigner, it's seen as a direct result of divine backing. That makes him a formidable presence. You can't just ignore him.
Abimelech is basically saying, I see God's hand on your life, and, well, I need to deal with that fact.
And it's not just personal respect driving this. Nahum Sarna brings up a really important point here. This was also a deeply pragmatic political move for Abimelech.
Okay, how so?
Well, Abimelech wasn't naive. He saw Abraham's influence expanding, not just flocks and family, but remember Genesis 14. Abraham showed real military capability rescuing Lot.
Ah, right. His armed retainers. He wasn't just a shepherd.
Exactly. So Abimelech, being a shrewd ruler, likely saw the strategic need for a preventative peace treaty. He saw Abraham as this divinely empowered force.
A potential threat, maybe, down the line. Or at least a source of instability if they weren't aligned.
Precisely. So he proactively seeks this binding agreement. It's about ensuring peaceful coexistence, managing this rising power. It shows remarkable foresight, acknowledging spiritual power in a very practical, political way.
It really sets the stage for a unique kind of negotiation. So what does Abimelech actually ask for? Let's move to verse 23, NLT. Swear to me in God's name that you will never deceive me, my children, or my grandchildren. I have been loyal to you, so now swear that you will be loyal to me and to this country where you are living as a foreigner.
Okay, the request itself is loaded with significance. First, swear to me in God's name.
That immediately raises the stakes, doesn't it? This isn't just a promise between two men.
Not at all. John Walton explains this well. Invoking a deity's name was standard, actually crucial practice in ancient Near East treaties. It sanctified the agreement.
How did that work exactly?
The belief was that the deity, in this case, the god Abraham worshipped, would act as a divine witness. But more than that, the deity was the enforcer.
Meaning they'd punish anyone who broke the oath?
Yes, that's the implication. It transformed the agreement from a mere human pact, based on trust or convenience, into a sacred contract. There's divine oversight and severe consequences for breaking faith. It's the highest level of seriousness they could invoke.
And look at the scope. My children or my grandchildren. Abimelech is thinking long term.
Absolutely. This isn't about a temporary truce. He's laying a foundation for lasting peace, generational stability. He wants security for his lineage.
And he bases the request on his own past actions. I have been loyal to you. The Hebrew word there is easterite.
Yes, east. And Victor Hamilton highlights that this is a core covenant term. It's not just simple kindness. It implies loyal love, covenant faithfulness, deep commitment.
So Abimelech sees his past actions returning Sarah, letting Abraham stay, giving him gifts as demonstrating this east.
That seems to be his argument. He's saying, I've shown you this deep loyalty, this covenant commitment, now I ask for the same in return. He wants a relationship built on mutual trust and enduring faithfulness, not just convenience.
Interesting. He's appealing to a higher form of relationship.
And there's another nuance Bruce Waltke points out. Abimelech isn't seeking a typical suzerain-vassal treaty where one party is clearly dominant.
He's not treating Abraham like a subordinate.
No. It seems more like an equal, almost brotherly alliance. He recognizes Abraham as this powerful, divinely blessed figure. He wants to integrate him into his security framework as a partner, ensuring peace through mutual respect, not domination.
That shows incredible respect for Abraham's standing, especially considering Abraham is technically the foreigner.
It really does. It highlights Abraham's unique, God-given status.
So, a powerful king seeks an equal, generation-spanning, divinely enforced alliance with this nomadic sojourner, all driven by seeing God's hand on his life. How does Abraham respond? Let's read verse 24. NLT. Abraham replied, all right, I swear to it.
Abraham's reply is immediate. All right, I swear to it. Direct, clear. He's willing to enter this covenant.
No hesitation. He seems ready for peace.
He is, but while the agreement is immediate, it's not unconditional. Abraham, who's clearly grown wiser and more experienced, uses this moment very strategically.
How so? Abimelech has just shown him immense respect.
Exactly. And precisely because Abimelech wants this relationship, Abraham seizes the opportunity to address a lingering issue, a grievance he hasn't forgotten.
So he agrees, but with a but.
Sort of. He signals his agreement first, but before the formalities are concluded, he brings up this problem. It shows his maturity. He wants the covenant, yes, but he also needs it to resolve actual conflicts and protect his interests, specifically water rights.
Water rights,
Yeah.
which were critical in that region.
Absolutely critical. So he's willing, but he's also making sure this peace treaty actually solves problems on the ground. He's not just accepting, he's negotiating for a secure future.
A brilliant combination of willingness and shrewdness. So what was this grievance he brings up right at this crucial moment? Let's hear verses 25 and 26, NLT. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well that Abimelech's servants had taken by force. I have no idea who is responsible, Abimelech replied. You never complained about this before, and this is the first I had heard of it.
Okay, this well dispute. It's not trivial. It's central to the whole negotiation.
Because water in the Negev, it was everything, right?
Everything. Literally a lifeline. For survival, for flocks, for communities. Control over a well was paramount, a matter of life and death.
And Abraham complained. What's the significance of that word?
The Hebrew verb used, cheh, carries a strong legal sense. It's more than just grumbling. It means lodging a formal accusation, presenting a case, making a reasoned protest.
So he's not just venting. He's seeking a formal legal resolution.
Precisely. He wants his rights clearly acknowledged before they finalize this covenant. He's setting a legal precedent.
And Abimelech's response, wow, I have no idea who is responsible. This is the first I have heard of it. That sounds a bit like a politician.
Doesn't it? It's a masterclass in ancient diplomacy. He claims ignorance.
Plausible ignorance. Gordon Wenham suggests it might have been right. Controlling distant servants wasn't easy.
It's plausible, yes. Whether he truly knew or not, his response is skillful. He avoids direct personal responsibility, which prevents escalating the conflict.
And he subtly shifts a bit of the blame back to Abraham. You never complained before.
Right, it's a deft move. He acknowledges the problem exists without accepting direct blame, preserving his royal dignity. But crucially, it paves the way for a peaceful resolution because he shows willingness to address it now that it's been formally raised.
Very clever. Keep your honor, but solve the problem.
Exactly. It highlights Abimelech's shrewdness. He maintains respect while opening the door for the solution Abraham needs. It shows Abraham is dealing with a capable statesman here.
Okay, the grievance is out in the open, acknowledge. How do they formalize the treaty now? Let's look at verse 27, NLT. Then Abraham gave some of his sheep, goats, and cattle to Abimelech, and they made a formal treaty.
So after the verbal agreement on the well, we see the formal treaty ritual begin. Abraham gives livestock to Abimelech.
Was this standard practice?
Yes, very common in ancient treaty making. These gifts symbolized several things: establishing friendly relations, sharing resources, showing mutual commitment, maybe even gratitude from Abraham for acknowledging his rights.
And the phrase, made a formal treaty, that's the karat beret, cut a covenant phrase again.
That's the one, karat beret, literally cut a covenant.
And that potentially refers back to that ancient ritual of cutting animals.
Most likely, yes, where the parties would walk between the pieces, symbolizing the dire fate awaiting anyone who broke the pact. Even without describing the ritual here, the phrase itself conveys the absolute seriousness, the sacredness, the binding nature of the agreement under divine watch. It's unbreakable.
A really powerful image. But then Abraham does something very specific related to the well dispute. Let's read verses 28-31, which are crucial here. NLT. Abraham also took 7 additional female lambs and set them off by themselves. Abimelech asked, "Why have you set these 7 apart?" Abraham replied, "They are my gift to you as a public confirmation that I am the one who dug this well." So that place was named Beersheba, which means well of the oath, because that is where they have sworn an oath.
Okay, this is the climax of the ceremony, and it's just brilliant legal and symbolic thinking from Abraham.
She sets apart 7 ewe lambs. Why 7?
Well, 7 shows a hugely significant number in Hebrew culture, right? Symbolizing completeness, perfection, divine fullness, a sacred act.
We see it everywhere in Scripture.
Exactly. But here's the genius part, the wordplay. The Hebrew word for swear, or oath, is shah.
Sheh 7 and Shemes.
Yeah.
They sound almost identical.
Precisely. Nahum Sarna explains this brilliantly. Abraham intentionally uses this phonetic similarity, this pun, to reinforce his claim. It's a mnemonic device, embedding the proof of the oath into the very number of the lambs.
That's incredibly clever. It's like baking the legal proof into the gift itself.
It is. And by telling Abimelech to accept these 7 lambs, Abraham is performing a legally binding act. The lambs become the evidence, or witness. The Hebrew word is yorsha.
So Abimelech isn't just saying, "Okay, I believe you dug the well," by taking the lambs.
He is publicly, tangibly confirming Abraham's ownership. It's a formal act of recognition.
Now, Victor Hamilton makes that important distinction here, right? This isn't Abraham buying the well.
Correct. Hamilton argues strongly against that. Abraham dug it. By rights of labor, it was his. These 7 lambs are more like a registration fee, maybe, or a public notarization fee.
So Abimelech, as the local authority, accepts this fee, and in doing so, officially endorses and legally protects Abraham's pre-existing property rights.
That's the idea. It gives royal sanction to his claim, makes it part of the public recognized record.
Wow. That elevates Abraham's move from a simple gift to a sophisticated legal maneuver.
It absolutely does. And John Walton reminds us, in a time before widespread written documents, these public rituals, witnesses, symbolic items like live lambs, they were the proof.
Those 7 living, moving lambs would be a constant dynamic reminder of the agreement, a living monument.
A living monument, exactly. A testament everyone understood. And this meticulous, legally savvy move is why the place gets its name. Beersheba, Beersheba.
Which means both well of the oath and well of 7.
Perfectly. The name itself captures both core elements: the sworn covenant and the 7 lambs permanently recording the event and Abraham's undeniable ownership.
What a masterful resolution. It blends legal sharpness with deep symbolism. So, the deal's done, the well is secured. How does this episode conclude? Let's read the final verses, 32-34, NLT. After they had finalized the treaty at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, returned to the land of the Philistines. Then Abraham planted a tamarisk tree at Beersheba, and he worshipped the Lord, the eternal God, at that place. And Abraham lived as a foreigner in Philistine country for a long time.
Okay, so Abimelech and Phicol leave. Their mission accomplished. They have peace with this rising, divinely favored figure.
And the focus shifts immediately back to Abraham. He does 2 significant things. First, plants a tamarisk tree.
Right, and planting a tree, especially a long-living one like the tamarisk in that dry Negev region, is a huge statement.
Symbolizing what? Permanence? Hope?
All of that. Long-term settlement, confidence in the future, stability mirroring the enduring peace hoped for in the covenant. The tree's slow, steady growth reflects the desired longevity of the agreement. It's putting down roots, literally.
And then the second, and arguably more crucial, action.
He called there on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. This is the spiritual climax.
He worships. And the name he uses for God is significant. El Olam.
Yes, El Olam, the everlasting God. This name specifically highlights God's timelessness, his enduring nature, his transcendence over all earthly limits, and, importantly, over temporary human agreements.
Bruce Waltke sees this as a major theological step for Abraham, doesn't he?
He really emphasizes it. Abraham has just secured this temporal, earthly covenant for his descendants' immediate future. But his ultimate hope, his ultimate security, he anchors it right here, not in the treaty, but in the unchanging, eternal God whose promises never fail. It's a profound shift from the horizontal agreement to the vertical relationship.
So the earthly success leads directly to deeper worship of God's eternal nature.
Precisely. And about that tree planting, Gordon Wenham adds another layer. He suggests that in the ancient Near East, planting a tree was often linked to establishing a sacred site, a sanctuary.
So Abraham might be consecrating Beersheba as a place of worship, not just a political site.
That's Wenham's idea, elevating it beyond the treaty to a lasting center for worshiping the true God.
And just quickly, that mention of the Philistines in verse 34.
Yeah, most scholars, like Kenneth Matthews, see that as an anachronism. A later editor, perhaps Moses, using the geographical term familiar to his audience centuries later to clarify the location. It doesn't mean Philistines were dominant there in Abraham's day, it just helps later readers know where this happened.
Okay, that clarifies that potential historical question. Now that we've walked through the text and seen the flow, let's dig into some of those aha moments from the scholars. The insights that maybe aren't obvious on a first read, but really open up the richness of the passage and its context. Where should we start with those deeper observations?
Okay, one that really reframes things comes from Victor Hamilton regarding those 7 ewe lambs. We touched on it, but it bears repeating because it's so counterintuitive.
Right, the idea that he wasn't buying the well.
Exactly. Hamilton argues quite forcefully that since Abraham dug the well, by custom, he already owned it. The lambs weren't a purchase price.
So what was their function, legally speaking?
Hamilton calls it more like a registration fee or a public notarization fee. Think of it like this. Abimelech, as the king, accepts the symbolic payment. By doing so, he uses his official authority to publicly certify and legally endorse Abraham's existing right.
So it's about getting official recognition and protection for something he already possessed by right of labor.
Precisely. It integrates his private claim into the public legal system under royal authority. It's not Abraham showing weakness or needing to buy his own property. It's a very savvy, proactive, legal move to ensure long-term security and validation. It shows surprising legal sophistication for that era.
That completely changes how you see that exchange. It's about securing rights, not acquiring them. That's a fantastic insight. What else stands out, maybe on the theological side?
Well, Bruce Waltke offers this profound perspective on the whole narrative's ultimate point. We see Abraham succeed diplomatically, secure water rights, establish peace, all significant practical wins, right?
Definitely. That seems like the main goal achieved.
But Waltke argues the real triumph, the story's highest point, isn't the treaty, it's Abraham's theological breakthrough.
You mean his worship of El Olam?
Exactly. That culminating act of worshiping God as the everlasting God is the true climax. Waltke stresses that after making this earthly covenant focused on descendants and land, Abraham immediately grounds his hope in the eternal, unchanging God whose promises transcend any human agreement.
So the whole negotiation with Abimelech becomes a kind of theological lesson for Abraham.
That's Waltke's view. It expands Abraham's faith, moving him to a deeper worship of God's eternal nature. It shows how even practical earthly dealings should ultimately point us back to God's unchanging character.
That really elevates the story, doesn't it? From land dispute to revelation. It makes you think about how our own earthly successes or challenges should drive us deeper into understanding God. Okay, sticking with symbolic actions, what about that tamarisk tree? Gordon Wenham had a deeper take on that too, right?
He did. Beyond just marking the spot or symbolizing permanence, Wenham looks at the wider, ancient Near Eastern context.
Where planting trees often meant more.
Right. Especially specific kinds of trees, or trees at certain locations, it was often linked to establishing a sanctuary, a formal place of worship, consecrating the ground.
So Wenham suggests Abraham is deliberately founding Beersheba as a permanent worship center, like the altars he built elsewhere.
That's the argument. It elevates Beersheba from just a place of political agreement to a sacred space, intended for ongoing worship by his family for generations. It's turning a place of potential conflict into a dedicated site for encountering God.
That's beautiful. It shows that Abraham's priority was always worship, even amidst practicalities. Now, Nahum Sarno looks at Abraham's approach here, doesn't he? Contrasting it with later figures.
Yes, Sarna makes a fascinating literary and theological point. He suggests the narrator deliberately presents Abraham's negotiation style here, open, direct, using legal means, seeking integrity as a positive model.
A paradigm for how God's people should act.
Exactly, especially when compared to his grandson Jacob, whose methods for securing rights and blessings were often, well,
Deceptive,
yeah,
cunning, circuitous.
all of the above. Think of Jacob tricking Esau, deceiving Isaac, outwitting Laban. Abraham here uses open protest about the, well, symbolic legal action with the lambs, a reciprocal covenant based on East. Sarna argues this contrast is intentional.
Setting Abraham up as the example of acting with faith and integrity in the land.
Precisely. It creates a moral compass for the reader as they follow the story of Jacob's own struggles and growth. It's a subtle but powerful piece of narrative theology.
That really helps us read Genesis as a whole, seeing these internal connections and lessons. Okay, one more. Walter Brueggemann finds this tension right at the end, in verse 34. What does he mean by calling Abraham this secure sojourner?
Brueggemann points to that final sentence, Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines many days. There's a paradox here.
Because he just secured the treaty.
Yeah.
He has a measure of security, right?
Yes. Through the covenant, he's created this tangible space of security in the land. He has rights, peace, he's secure. But the text immediately reminds us he's still a sojourner, a resident alien, a foreigner. The land is promised, but not fully possessed.
That's the already but not yet tension.
Exactly. Brueggemann calls it the state of the secure sojourner. Blessings and security are already experienced, but the full inheritance is not yet realized.
And that's a core theme throughout the Bible, isn't it, for Israel and for us as Christians?
Absolutely fundamental. We experience God's grace and blessings now, moments of peace and security, but our ultimate home, our full inheritance, is still future. It calls us to live with gratitude for the present already, while keeping our hope fixed on the future, not yet.
Wow. These scholarly insights really add layers of meaning, don't they? From legal nuances to profound theological themes.
They really do. They show just how rich even these seemingly straightforward narratives are.
Okay, reflecting on Abraham's journey here, this interaction with Abimelech, it's obviously not just history. It feels incredibly relevant for us today as believers, as leaders. What are some core teachings, some vital reminders we can pull from this for pastors and believers navigating life and ministry now?
Well, one powerful truth that just leaps out is the call to live out a visible faith.
What do you mean by visible?
Look at Abimelech's reason for seeking the treaty. God is obviously with you, helping you in everything you do. It wasn't subtle. It was unmistakable even to an outsider.
His life was a testimony that couldn't be ignored.
Exactly. As Kenneth Matthews called it, that dramatic reversal showed the tangible power of God's blessing on Abraham. So for us, it means our faith isn't just internal feelings or private devotion. It should manifest outwardly.
How so? Practically.
We have to ask, are our lives, our work ethic, our family relationships, our integrity, our peace under pressure, even the blessings we steward, are they so evident that people around us, even non-believers, notice something different, something divine?
Our lives become unspoken sermons.
That's a great way to put it. Our transformed character, our integrity, our peaceful conduct, they can draw people to ask about the God we serve. It's about visibility.
That's a high calling, but essential. Our lives preach whether we intend them to or not. Okay, what's another key takeaway, perhaps from Abraham's wisdom in handling the well dispute?
I think it's the practice of what we could call faithful pragmatism, using wisdom while trusting God completely.
Explain that a bit more.
Abraham absolutely believed God was with him, protecting him, but that faith didn't make him passive or, foolishly idealistic when faced with a real problem, his vital water source being stolen.
He didn't just sit back and pray for the well to reappear.
No. He waited for the right strategic moment when Abimelech needed something from him, and then he skillfully used the accepted legal and diplomatic tools of his culture.
The formal complaint, the symbolic lambs, the wordplay.
Right. It was all very practical, very reasoned. Walter Brueggemann calls this faithful pragmatism. Faith doesn't replace wisdom, it empowers it.
So for us, Christian faith isn't about checking our brains at the door.
Not at all. We're called to use the reason, the intelligence, the resources God gives us. We should exercise wisdom and discernment to proactively, ethically address real-world problems.
Whether that's church conflicts, financial stewardship, community issues.
Exactly. We engage actively, seeking peace and righteousness through practical means, all grounded in our ultimate trust in God. Be wise as serpents, innocent as doves, right?
That's so important. Faith fuels action. It doesn't preclude it. Okay, and after Abraham succeeds, after he gets the treaty and secures the well, his immediate next step is crucial too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This leads to the third vital point: transforming secular achievements into spiritual worship.
What was the real climax of the story for Abraham?
It wasn't signing the treaty, it was what he did immediately after. Planted the tamarisk tree and worshiped the Lord, the eternal God, Elohim.
He didn't pat himself on the back for his great negotiating skills.
No. His instinct was to attribute the success, the peace, the security, entirely to God, his eternal provider. As Waltke highlighted, it's this immediate turn from earthly accomplishment to profound worship.
So the lesson for us.
Any success we achieve, ministry growth, career advancement, family blessings, solving a tough problem, its ultimate purpose should be to drive us into deeper knowledge and worship of God.
Every breakthrough is an invitation to praise.
Yes, to praise God as El Olam, the everlasting God, recognizing all temporary blessings flow from his unchanging faithfulness. Our wins should become platforms for his glory, not our own.
That really reframes success, doesn't it? Prioritizing the giver over the gift. Every part of life becomes an opportunity for worship. Okay, finally, what about that enduring lesson of being sojourners?
Right, Brueggemann's secure sojourner, this is incredibly relevant, especially for pastors guiding their people. Abraham gained real security, real rights in the land. He was secure.
But the text reminds us he's still fundamentally a foreigner, a sojourner.
Yes. That already but not yet tension. We as Christians experience God's grace now, his presence, blessings, a measure of security through Christ. That's the already.
But we're not fully home yet. This world isn't our final destination. That's the not yet.
Exactly. So this perspective helps us live in balance. It encourages us to engage the world wisely, use God's gifts, solve problems, be salt and light, actively participate. But it simultaneously reminds us our ultimate hope and security aren't found in earthly stability or success. Our true citizenship is elsewhere. Our anchor is in our eternal inheritance in Christ.
So pastors should lead congregations to live fully now, but always with that eternal perspective.
Precisely. Engage responsibly in this world, but always look towards our heavenly home. It keeps us grounded, yet hopeful, preventing us from getting too attached to temporary things while still being faithful stewards of them.
Living effectively in that tension, it's a lifelong challenge.
It truly is.
Okay, as we bring this deep dive into Abraham and Abimelech to a close, if you had to pick one crucial takeaway from this whole encounter, what would it be? What really stands out for you?
For me, it has to be the power of that visible walk with God. Abimelech's statement, God is obviously with you, that's the core, it wasn't hidden.
It challenges us about how evident our faith is in our daily lives.
Exactly. Our character, our integrity, how we handle blessings and challenges, it all has a tangible impact. It's a testimony, even to those who don't share our beliefs. Living authentically, relying on God visibly, points people to him and, as we saw here, can even create favor and open doors for peace and influence.
That's powerful. For me, I think it's the insight into Abraham's faithful pragmatism. It's so liberating, in a way.
How so?
It shows that deep faith doesn't mean being passive or naive. It actually empowers us to engage wisely with complexity. Abraham used diplomacy, legal understanding, cultural awareness.
All grounded in his trust in God.
Right. It shows God is glorified not just in miracles, but also in our intelligent, ethical, courageous use of the wisdom and resources he gives us to navigate conflict and build peace. That's vital for pastors dealing with very real, practical issues every day. It's about demonstrating God's wisdom in the nitty-gritty.
Well said. Combining deep trust with active responsibility.
Okay, let's think about faith reflection. As pastors, as spiritual leaders, we're constantly navigating that intersection of faith and pragmatism, aren't we? Managing resources, dealing with legalities, resolving conflicts, seeking practical outcomes for our communities. Given Abraham's example here, how does this narrative challenge us to define success in ministry, especially when it involves these tangible, earthly negotiations or achievements? How do we make sure our own Beershebas, our own successes, ultimately point to God?
That's a critical question, isn't it? A real heart check for ministry leaders. This passage really forces us to examine our metrics for success. Are we primarily focused on the numbers, the buildings, the budgets, the influence gained? Or are we, like Abraham, ensuring that every practical achievement, every resolved conflict, every secured resource ultimately leads us, and the people we lead, into a deeper worship and recognition of El Olam, the everlasting God?
There's a real danger of settling for the earthly win, isn't there? Losing sight of the eternal purpose behind it.
A huge danger. We can easily start congratulating ourselves on our negotiation skills or our strategic planning and forget who enabled it all. This story challenges us to consciously align our practical strategies with our deepest theological convictions. Every step forward, every ministry victory needs to be intentionally framed as an opportunity to magnify God's eternal character.
So true success isn't just achieving the goal, but how that achievement deepens our relationship with God and points others to Him.
Exactly. It's measured vertically by our connection to the eternal God, even as we navigate the horizontal complexities of life and ministry on earth. The ultimate question after every success should be, did we plant a tamarisk tree? Did we turn immediately to worship El Olam? Did we make sure the outcome points beyond the temporal gain to the eternal giver? That's the challenge. Ensuring our practical successes become springboards for deeper spiritual communion and greater glory to God, not just ends in themselves.